Good morning, everyone. We are back at it, and today is the day where I am going to start throwing left-handed. Mainly for two reasons. My elbow still isn't feeling as good as I wanted to. And another reason, throwing lefty is good for your body. That's all I've ever heard. Multiple doctors or physical therapists or other players have always told me that having a balance in everything in life really is always healthy. And I've been so one-sided for so many years. 25 years I've been throwing with my right arm only, and I pretty much have no lefty game. I'm gonna throw one shot righty and one shot lefty, and then in my editing program mirror the righty shot so it looks like I'm throwing lefty, and then put them side by side and see the differences. Try to teach myself how to throw lefty. This is episode 1, so we'll see if this works. I'm excited. I think it will benefit my game and my health. So here we go. Lizotte, trying to learn how to throw lefty. Highly recommended. All right, welcome to home studio. We are here in my bedroom comparing my lefty form to my mirrored righty form. So on the left right here, you can see me. This is me actually throwing left-handed. And here, this is me throwing right-handed, but I mirrored the image and I lined them up perfectly. So the release is at the exact same frame. So let's check it out and see the differences. I'll let it play one time just in slow motion. Obviously, right off the bat, you can see many differences. But let's just go back to here and go frame by frame. And I think this could be helpful for beginners as well, because my lefty throw, I think, is a pretty good example for any beginner out there on the typical mistakes you make. Also, the way I'm doing this right now is a great way of teaching yourself. Just give yourself a lesson. Like, put your favorite pro, whoever it is, in the left frame or the right frame, doesn't really matter, and yourself in the other frame. Try to get the exact same camera angle as the pro's throw you chose, and then line them up in iMovie or whatever you're using to edit. There's so many ways out there to do it. And line them up so the timing on the release is in the same frame or as close as possible, and then go through it frame by frame and just compare what's the main differences. It all really comes down to the footwork placement and your upper body, of course, and then timing is really the key. And once you have the timing down, then speed and form will kind of just like fall into place and come with repetition and practice. So here it is. I'm just doing this for my own interest, really, and maybe someone else out there finds this interesting. So remember, this is me throwing lefty on the left, and on the right, I'm throwing righty, but the footage is mirrored, so it looks like I'm throwing lefty. So I'm just comparing my righty form to my lefty form and trying to adapt. This is going to be episode 1. In the next episode, I will then actually try and work on the things I notice right now. So let's start by looking at the feet, going frame by frame forward. And the first thing, I already looked through this a bit, so I kind of knew what to talk about. So the first thing I noticed with the footwork is that my right side, right here, is much quicker on the feet than on my left, even though my last step is the same. Just a slight timing issue. If you check out my X step here, when I go behind my body, how early the right side is and how behind the left side is, even though we release at the same point. So that's the first thing that's really interesting, that my X step is much earlier here. And then my last step, I kind of catch up with my left foot, and we actually do plant pretty much at the exact same time, maybe the right side a bit earlier here. But the main key, I've talked about this on this channel multiple times, is the angle of your front foot and your hips. And if you compare the two right here, let me plant on the left side here. Look where my foot is pointing. If I drew a line straight from my heel to my toe, it would go like slightly forward here. And if you look here, you can't really see it that well because of my shadow. But if you see how I plant my foot right here, it goes exactly straight 90 degrees to my arm. So there's like a nice X right here, which I think is ideal to engage your hips and get the most out of your lower body. If you compare my hips here, look how open my hips are. Almost already turned forward, pointing like this way, and my hips here much more rotated backwards, almost pointing towards the camera. Obviously, it's going to be much more power from the lower body in the rotation. So that's definitely 2 big points here. Number 1, foot placement, kind of a slight little timing issue on the run up, and then rotate those hips backwards. But I think once you get the foot placement right, it kind of forces your hips into this position right here. Okay, let's just watch what happens after I release with my lower body, with my feet. Another pretty big difference here. If you watch my right foot, watch the right side right here. When I'm moving forward, how it spins just after the release. So once my disc releases, the foot spins forward on its heel, and well, it looks like my left leg, but it's actually my right leg, creates this straight, almost curvy bend. Left leg is nice and behind, and then follow through. Toe is now pointing almost left of where I'm throwing, and nice follow through on the toes. Oh, look here, I'm on my heel. That's another big difference. All right, let's look at my left side. Right at the release, planted right here, a bit too open. Look at the hips here, much more forward than here. Here it's still sideways, here it's almost trying to be back forward. Way less spin. Look how my toe is pointing forward here, and here it's still pointing to the side. So I'm really missing out on the spin forward on my heel. And I want to look at this left leg right here after I release. Oh, that's going the wrong way. Yeah, you can see this leg is like still bent right here. And here's much more straight. Wow, this is going to be so hard to fix. This is going to take a lot of repetitions and going through it in slow motion. I really recommend, if you're learning how to throw, like go through the motions so slow that it feels almost stupid. And I think that's what I'm going to try to like recreate this pose right after my release. Okay, that's upper body. And that's lower body. So let's check out the upper body. Let's just look at my right arm first. Here it's actually touching my disc, and here it's just off to the side. When I reach back, yeah, pretty similar. This arm hasn't really moved much. This one has gone from my disc to up here, kind of opening up my shoulders, which here is kind of missing. I feel like I'm not rotating my shoulders as much as I could, like I do right here. We'll get to the way different arm positions later, but checking out my right arm, oh, here's the big difference. Once I pull through on this side, once I create the power pocket and here pulling forward, this arm will shoot down straight to the side of my body, and this one just looks like it's doing absolutely nothing for my throw, just hanging there on the side. Yeah. What a different move this is. Right side, boom, powerful. Oh, look how different my body is positioned here. This is here the major issue. Look how close the disc is to my body. Look how far the disc is from my body and how straight my arm is here. This is called, I'm not sure, is this called rounding? I think people call this rounding, where you pull it more around your body wide and not in a straight line in front of your body. So here I'm really using my elbow, and I'm much more squared up with my shoulders. And here, open shoulders, open hip, wide arm, everything terrible. Everything absolutely terrible. Bad timing, bad form. Let's look at the full reach back right here. So obviously, right here, this is exactly what you want to see, I think. straight back. You don't really want to reach back too far back here, which a lot of people tend to do. So a nice straight line. I'm not sure why I do this with my disc right here, where I like tilt it down. That's just something that I naturally do. I've never really worried about it or tried to do anything about it. Very different here. Shoulders obviously not as rotated. Arm never fully extends. And my disc is obviously just flat, which looks kind of better than this, honestly. But I think I need to reach back a bit lower. I need to focus on getting that arm straight, like here, for a split second. And trying to reach the full rotation in my shoulders. I think when I place this foot better, my hips will engage, and that'll make it much easier to put my arm and shoulders in the right position. So the pull through, yeah, you can just see on my left side. Look at the left side here, my left arm. It just never really uses that elbow at all. It just pulls from here, and then it's all shoulders. Shoulder, 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 round, and then the release. And what I noticed earlier, what's actually kind of funny, is look at the different angle of the disc coming out of my throw. This is nice and flat, driving forward, and this is just completely nose up wobble and no control. Let's look at the follow through with my arm. Here, a nice high follow through. You can see if you follow this line, you go up to here, and then considering my left arm, it's just on a flat line, following through a bit too low. Wow, just by looking at this pose right here, you can tell which person can throw and which person can't throw at all. Okay, so these were about 80% power shots. And my lefty shot was actually pretty good. It went like a solid 200 feet, I think. And I'm just throwing an MD2 mid-range. Let's look at it one more time in full speed. Okay, so for the next video, I'm going to go out to the field, throw some lefty shots, and I'll focus on, first of all, my front foot, my timing on the run-up. I want to go a bit quicker on the left side. I hope that'll put my hips into place automatically when I fix this. Try to recreate this right here, this straight foot over this bent foot. Maybe that'll come with this practice heel rotation. And then on the reach back, try to engage the shoulders a bit more, like I do here, a bit more open. And then I think even more key on the full reach back, full extension right here in my arm. And then pulling through. This is all slightly timing issue because I use my shoulders here much too early. Where if you compare here, my shoulders are already going forward. And here my arm just starts going forward before my shoulders join. Slight little keyframes here, and that sums it up, I think. Very interesting. Way more mistakes in my lefty shots than I expected, but I guess that was to be expected because I've never really learned how to throw lefty, and I never really worked on it ever. So that's my plan for now. We have a new family member, guys. Aww. It is little Mookie. Nice little girl. She is actually the most precious little kitten. 5 months old, getting used to the family life in the house, and you can see my dartboard there in the corner. I hung it off the wall, so I'm forced not to play darts right now because it's not good for my elbow, I think. And I'm too tempted if it's hanging there to throw darts at it, so. Anyway, that was the video. I'm super happy with it. I think Mookie's very happy with it, and I hope someone learned something. I learned a lot, and I'm excited to do something good for my body by being more balanced, using my left side more, and the huge bonus would be maybe at the end of the season, I have a useful sidearm that I can actually use in the tournaments maybe. I'll keep at it. I'll go out there to the field and work on those things, and that would be just the sickest to be able to throw lefty shots confidently enough to use it in the tournament, and that would be a very, very good weapon to have. So, Mookie, we are out. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, and see you the next one. Peace.